Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Delvin Winani, and once again, welcome to our channel. Today, I want to take you through some simple steps on how to prepare effectively and how to respond effectively to biology questions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let us remember to subscribe to my channel, follow Delvin Winani on YouTube, and as more videos will be coming, we are still doing our revision and we are enhancing on the same revision. And therefore, we don't want to waste much time. I want us now to look at what we have today. We have been preparing very well for the exam. Now it's time to present what we have. So today I want to take us through some of the steps on how to pass biology examination. So thank you and welcome. So first of all, I will start by starting by looking at some of the mistakes candidates do whenever they are sitting for the exam. So I'll look at some of the common mistakes that candidates do. And therefore, these are some of the common mistakes, and I'll be highlighting each one of them so that we can look at it in detail. The first one is lack of confidence. We have been preparing for the last 4 years now, I guess. And this time is now time for us to deliver what we have. And therefore, confidence is one of the key features that we need to have. We need to be confident in what we have. Be confident. Apart from being focused, just be confident that yes, you have been revising. Your teachers have given you enough and you are ready for the paper. So confidence is one thing. As long as you have been revising, as long as you have been attending class lessons, you have nothing to fear about. Confidence is key in this regard. Then secondly is feeling of inadequacy. Feeling of inadequacy. Maybe there are some questions you are trying to respond to them, and the way you wish to could have responded, it's not coming out. And then you start feeling like maybe you are not ready. I want to assure you the feeling of inadequacy is there, but we need to encourage ourselves. We have qualified teachers who have been taking us through all our syllabus. And all the teachers in the school now, as we speak, the Teacher Service Commission has ensured that all the teachers in school are fully registered, and therefore they are trained and fully registered. And therefore you have no reason to worry about. The teacher you have has given you enough. And therefore the feeling of inadequacy should not arise. Be encouraged. Then number 3 is poor time management. Poor time management affects most of the students because maybe we are in Form 1 and you think that Form 4 is very far away. I want to assure you it's only 4 years from where you are, and perhaps even less than 4 years, depending on how the year ends, like what we had with COVID-19. Well, you discover that 1 year, one normal year was having 1.5 academic years in it. And therefore, 4 years are very, very little. And therefore, we need to manage our time. Let us have our timetables ready, our personal timetables for revision ready. And as we start from Form 1, let us follow those timetables. Have personal timetables that will guide you, that this is what you're supposed to do. And the personal timetables will reduce the leisure time, will reduce the free time. And therefore, we shall be well prepared once the KCSE time arrives. Then, number 4 is not following instructions. Candidates, and especially candidates maybe who are over anxious or overconfident, sometimes they may end up not following instructions, especially when responding to those questions. So instructions are very important. If you have been asked to name. If you have been asked to state. Describe. And therefore, following the instruction you have been given, you're supposed to answer only one question or answer 2 questions. Respond to those 2 questions or one as the instruction guided. Then number 5, not being precise when answering questions. Every question demands a response. And to be precise here simply means you need not to beat around the bush. If the question wants you to maybe state or label the part, simply label the part. That is being precise. If the question is asking you to account, just account. Don't give so many explanations. Be precise. Not being precise will mean the examiner will have a very hard time trying to get your answers from a lot of wording. Let us be as precise as possible. Then, number 6, misinterpreting and ignoring terminologies. Sometimes when you are responding to questions in biology, some people you see they decide to ignore some terminologies. Like maybe you have been given a question which involves the issue of osmosis, and therefore we expect you to talk about maybe some a hypertonic solution, a hypotonic solution, but you choose to ignore and maybe just say a concentration A move to concentration B. Avoiding those terminologies will actually lead to low marks. And as we mark those papers, there are those what we call the marking points that you are looking for. So when the marking scheme is talking about, a student must have mentioned maybe a terminology like hypotonic or low concentration, and then you miss that, then you'll miss the mark. Again, number 7, not choosing questions carefully. And this comes to option questions. Option questions, sometimes they really mislead students. You have to check through those questions effectively. And as we continue, I'm going to be guiding you on how to choose questions. The question before once you are given a paper, of course you'll go through the paper, go through all the questions before you now start responding to them. As you go through them, be very careful, especially to those sections that require you to choose, so that you don't choose a question, then spend like 30 minutes, 40 minutes responding to it. Then you discover that, wow, this is difficult. I could have chosen the other one. You end up losing your track. So not choosing question carefully might affect you. So you have to be very, very careful when you're choosing questions. Then not being orderly. Examiners will always look for an ordered student, will always look for work which is orderly. That is not only the examiners. In this world, we are made like that. We need order in everything we do. And therefore, how you respond, the order of your responses, very, very important. You can't just give procedures without order. Let us have order when giving our responses. Then, not giving scientific explanation concepts. I've just given you an example of osmosis, where somebody now decides, or a student decides, to avoid terminologies like hypotonic, hypertonic. It's quite dangerous. And you see, all these ones are in our syllabus. They are in our content, what we have learned. All of them are in it. So let us try, and as we respond to those questions, make sure to take care of this scientific concept. Don't avoid them. They are there, and they are good for us. And also they are good for you to score highly. Then, not reading and understanding the question. Rushing to the question. The question is asking you to explain, and because you have just, maybe you have highlighted one of the key points on the statement, and you have seen, maybe on the statement, you have seen one point, and you think maybe they're telling us to list, and then you start listing. No. Read through the question. Understand the question. What does the question want? What does it want? And also the marks shall be guiding you, so that you look at the marks also, and you look at the question. It shall be guiding you so that you can be able to respond very well. Then number 11, giving very brief answers. Giving very brief answers is very dangerous. Why? Because this is an exam. And when you choose to give brief answers, then you may lose everything in the course. What the examiner is looking for precise answers, as I said. Not too long answers, precise answers, but not too brief. Not too brief. Try to explain those answers that you have. Not too much explanation, but not too little explanations. Then skipping some questions, that's leaving blank spaces. When you skip, it definitely means you don't have the content, and therefore definitely you'll have very, very low marks in that. Then for one to score highly in biology, then one must do the following. Number one, start preparing in good time. Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, even Form 4. Start preparing in good time. Number two, avoid cramming concepts and formulae. Understand the concept. Understand the procedures. Understand the formula, how it is used. And therefore, once you understand, it's better to remember than to cram. Then ensure that you cover everything learned in their absence. Once you are alone now, there's no teacher, make sure you go through the work that you learned in a class. Revise your work. Work that you have covered that day, go sit down and revise the same work, so that you see where you never understood, now you'll start understanding immediately. It should be done immediately. Then master definitions and units of measurements. Units, very important. If we are calculating the cell size, that one we are using micrometers. Master those units, so that as you calculate, you know, I'm going to give my answer in micrometers and not in centimeters. That is mastering, not cramming. Then familiarize yourself with diagrams and how to use them. Diagrams are very, very important in biology, and especially even in practicals, especially practicals question number 2, 3 in practicals. It's purely diagrams. So you're supposed to master those diagrams. And that's why when you're copying notes, when you're doing your notes in class, you're supposed to make sure that you have very good diagrams, well labeled diagrams that will help you in revising, so that you get familiarized with those diagrams. So that if you are asked to name some of the parts of those diagrams, you can be able to name effectively. Then revise each chapter fortnightly. So after every 2 weeks, go through a chapter. After every 2 weeks, go through a chapter. Then enroll to clubs relevant to the subject. We have science clubs in school. We have healthy clubs in school. Kindly enroll in those clubs for the benefit of yourself. In those, there's some information that goes through those clubs, as you, like the science congress club, where now they meet, they discuss some of the invention, and in the process, some of the concept that you learn in class shall be covered. Next, improve on speed. Very important. Remember, time is part of the exam, and therefore speed is important. If the paper is going for 1 hour 45 minutes, that is paper 3, you have to ensure that within 1 hour 45 minutes, you have completed the paper, effectively completed. And therefore, speed is important. Have the content, then practice on how to deliver your content within a stipulated time. Then follow instructions carefully, especially in practicals. Follow instructions carefully. The answer is always in the instruction. The answer is always in the instruction. The instruction you have been given there, the one that are going to give you the answer. So once you follow them correctly, you score. Then next, on the night, now let us talk about we have prepared. Now on the night before the examination, what are you supposed to do on the night? Now, on the night before the examination, ladies and gentlemen, you're supposed to have sufficient sleep and exercise. Exercise, then have sufficient sleep. Then ensure you know the day, the time, and the place where the exam is going to be done. Those are very, very important. You need to know the day. So you need to have a timetable with you. You need to have a schedule, all the schedules that are with you. and with all the materials, then you are ready for that exam. Then on the morning of the examination, these are some of the things you're supposed to do. Number one, you need to have ample time to prepare yourself. So by 6, 7 in the morning, you need to be up, prepare yourself, have ample time to prepare. Don't rush. Don't be in a rush. Don't do things in a rush. Have ample time. Prepare yourself. Go through some of the content. If you have some revision books, just go through them. Then you can also make sure that you carry with you all the required materials. You require a pencil, you require pens, you require rubbers. Make sure you have them with you, ready for the exam. Then also make sure that you arrive in the examination center early, so that there's no that rushing and running up and down. You arrived early, prepared yourself, you know where you're supposed to sit, which seat you're supposed to sit on, and perhaps you are now familiar with even the environment of that room. Then in the examination room, once you enter the examination room, the first thing you'll do, write your name and index number, read the exam instructions thoroughly, read through all the questions carefully. Once you have written your name, you have read the instruction, read through all the questions. Reread again, and if possible, reread for the third time. Then from there, make a note of the compulsory questions. Note the time you should spend on each question. Just note. And this one will be guided by the amount of marks allocated to each question and the points that are supposed to be explained or highlighted on every question. Then when responding to questions now, one, plan your time. Plan your time. You should not spend the entire time on one question. Then you discover that the invigilator is saying you have 20 minutes to go and you have not done the rest. So plan your time well. Start with the easiest questions. As you go through those papers, there's some answers, some questions you'll be noting that this one, niko sawa. This one, I am okay. This one, niko sawa. This one, I am okay. Those ones, start with them. Respond to them very fast. Then look at the allocated marks. The allocated marks shall also give you the instruction on how you're supposed to respond, and also the number of points you're supposed to have on every question. If you have a question of 3 marks, you know those are 3 marking points at that level. And therefore, organize your points in a logical order as you look at that. Your points should be organized in a logical order. Each point should be a separate sentence. That now bring the idea of logical. At every point in a sentence. Read through your responses before handing in your paper. And that's why we're saying have time. When you have time, you'll be able to read through before handing in your papers. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we do all this and God be with us, I'm sure the exams, we shall pass them very high. Otherwise, thank you very much. Continue preparing for those exams. And I'm sure with the few steps I've given you, you can be able to improve on delivery of your work. And therefore, at the end of the examination period, we all celebrate for having scored very highly in biology. I'll be back with more. Remember to follow my channel, subscribe. I'll be back with more. I'm working on paper 2. I'll be back with paper 2 of 2019, paper 1 of 2020, paper 2 of 2020, and also paper 1 and paper 2 of 2021. And also the practicals, we are planning on how we're going to have them online. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to share, subscribe, and follow my channel. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Thank you. Thank you.